All right, and we will kick things off with Anton Riskov. Go ahead with your question.
Thanks, Samantha. Good morning, Jack. You've driven a lot of cars throughout your career, but next gen is definitely something new. And in your opinion, how does the next gen compare to any other cars you've driven before?
I didn't do a lot of laps on it. I did the Roval tests and the Daytona, obviously, which is a very different kind of track. I would say it's a little bit of a hybrid in between a GT and what a NASCAR used to be, because it's, you got a flat bottom, an extractor in the rear. So the aero platform has been moved towards what the GT is, and you have to run the car very stiff. It's a nice car, but it does drive differently. You don't run it as soft, so you don't lean as much in the same way. But it's a good step.
Thank you.
Right, we will take our next question from Justin Farmer. Go ahead, Justin.
Hey, Jack. You'll be one of the 6 teams that are going to be trying to go for the 500 as an open team. What's it going to take to make sure you guys get into the field on Sunday?
That's a very good question. It's tough. There's a little bit of gambling, when you have to qualify during the duels. You could be the quickest car out there and still get caught out. When I tried to qualify a few years ago, maybe around 10 years ago, at least about that time, 12 years ago, actually. The car was quick, but then I got caught up in a crash, and then you don't make the show. So it's very stressful. The key will be to try to be super quick in quali, and then you're in top 2, and then you're in. If not, the stress of going through the duels and then just working the traffic. So at that point, what matters is your spotter more than anything, and pit stops in case there's a green pit stop.
Thank you.
Next question will come from Luciano Calamante. Go ahead with your question.
Hi. So what motivated you to come back and try to qualify for the Daytona 500 14 years later, or 12 years later, actually?
The opportunity. It's like everything. I've never stopped racing. I've never stopped wanting to race in NASCAR, which is why I was racing a little bit in Europe in the NASCAR as well. But I was just very busy with all the TV commentating I was doing for Formula One. So that took me a little bit away from the racetrack on the driver's side. But now with the European team coming in with Heisenberg, and I was racing Loris Heiseman in the Euro NASCAR. That's how the link spanned, and we got in contact. So they were wanting to use the general experience I had in racing, I guess. And then it's not everyone that wants to drive for an unqualified car. It's a tough endeavor, and it is a small team, but there are good chances that we make the show. So at that point, it's just focus and try to be there at the end, to be in the top cars to make sure we're qualifying.
All right, thank you.
Next, we'll go to Dustin Long. Go ahead, Dustin.
Thanks a lot. Hey, your career is fascinating with all the success and all the things you've done, and you talk about still wanting to race, and that doesn't go away. I'm curious, the mindset in going from all the things that you've done to this certainly lower situation in terms of not having a spot in the 500 guaranteed, and with being a low team. Maybe not everybody, I don't know if is the word, takes that chance or wants to race so much at this level that they do that, and maybe they look at trying to race in other things. But obviously there's beyond the desire. What is it about you that allows you to take this opportunity for somebody who's accomplished so much in your career?
And I just realized I didn't answer completely the previous question at the same time, so I'll do both. Because the Daytona 500 is one of the 3 big races on the planet. You have the Le Mans 24 hours, the Indy 500, and Daytona. So that's one reason for doing it, basically. And who knows? You have a good race in Daytona, then you end up doing a few more races. It reminds me, even though the level is quite high, it reminds me of when I started my career, where it was very hard to qualify. I was doing Formula 3 in Italy. We were over 40 cars. I was a second off pole, and I hadn't done go-karts before, and I wouldn't qualify for the race. So there was a lot of pressure there, and you learn from that. But it was the beginning of my career. I knew I had the whole season. Now going to the Daytona, it's a one-off. So you don't just do, if you don't make it, doesn't matter, just the race the following weekend. After having won F1, the Indy 500, I guess it could be a difficult decision to take, because if you don't make the show, you just damage yourself. Basically, you damage your reputation. You can damage the 30 years of hard work you've put into your career. So there's always a big risk involved in that aspect. But I just love racing. I'm passionate. I'm alive when I'm behind a steering wheel, and the bigger the race, the better.
With having a little bit of experience racing at Daytona, driving at Daytona, what is that like? And I understand that racing is racing, but this is certainly a little bit different type. And I don't remember how much you got to do in practice, or obviously you got some in the duel. What is that sensation like? And is there, from what you remember, was it anything that much different from anything else that you'd done, or was it just like, look, it's racing and racing's racing?
It is very different because you're almost 100% dependent on your spotter. He's your eyes on the track and judging everything that's happening, which lines are going well, where you should move your car, because you can't see what's happening. You can see the few cars around you, but you don't see the whole race. And it's basically like driving super fast on a highway that has too many cars on it. But at least everybody's racing, everybody's going the same speed, which is good. And yes, you can use your mirrors, you can be a little bit aggressive, but the chances are mostly when you come in like me, being aggressive is probably not the right way to go, because you just get put in the wall very quickly and easily. I did a bunch of truck races before doing Daytona those years ago, and that was happening. I think the experience I had in Talladega was more useful, because we didn't have to qualify with the duel. We qualified on time. We're in the race, and everything went well. So that was a good experience. Qualifying in the duel was more difficult because we had set the car up to be super quick in quali on our own, and it wasn't quick enough. But the car was undrivable. Before crashing out, I got sideways 3 times, which is not something you normally do at Daytona. So I don't expect this year's car to be that difficult to drive, or that's not the way we'll go with the setup. The car has to be good in traffic ultimately.
Obviously, and you talk about the desire for racing. Obviously, racing there's the challenge, just like in anything that somebody does for a long time. There's still, you try to find that challenge that keeps you motivated. What's it like to be I guess maybe one of the ultimate underdogs? And that's look, there's different roles. You've been on top, and you've been the one everybody's trying to knock off the mountain. And you've been different places in different points in your career. What's this like? And I don't know if invigorating in one sense is a word or that you would describe, or how you look at this opportunity, because it's certainly a unique situation.
Well, I love being the underdog. That's always when I've done my best. It's a little bit different at Daytona because you're very dependent on having a good spotter and how he positions you. So, but it's always a kind of pressure that I've loved. When I won the Indy 500, I was 2 laps down, which is not something you would normally recuperate from. And when I won the F1 championship, I was a point behind. Having been disqualified the previous race, and then you get in a position where you have nothing to lose, basically. So you can really go for it. And if it goes wrong, well, you're where you were at the start of the race. So it is exciting. It is very exciting, but can be very disappointing as well.
Thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
We'll go next to Taryn Walk. Go ahead, Taryn.
Hi, I just have one question for you today. I was wondering how you personally keep the stress of possibly not qualifying for the race out of your mind leading up to the main event.
I try not to think too much about it. I normally think that the glass is always half full instead of half empty. So I have more of a positive mind process, which is very necessary in that situation, because the chance of qualifying or not qualifying are actually quite high, and they're not 100% dependent on what you do in the car. Some cars will be faster than us, so I doubt we will qualify on time, and we will have to qualify in the duels. And it's exciting, it's stressful, and it would be a shame to go home early.
I guess maybe it wasn't just one question, but with a follow-up now, is that back against the wall pressure something you thrive in?
It's fun, it's exciting. Yes, I've always liked that kind of pressure. Suddenly you get in a focus, you get in your bubble. And as long as you have the team behind you, as long as you can believe that it will work out, and it doesn't always work out, but it's also a big trip. I'm coming down with my family as well, with my two eldest, who are 14 and 15 years old, even missing school to come. So it's quite an important weekend, and with my newborn, who's 2 weeks old. So it will be really, if we can make the show, if we qualify, then it will be a very exciting weekend.
Thank you.
All right, we'll go next to Dylan Hildreth. Go ahead, Dylan.
With you running just the Daytona 500, do you think you could be at a more of an advantage come the duels, since you don't have to worry about Fontana and you don't have to worry about after the Daytona 500?
You could see it. Yeah, you could see it like this. The team is not going to the tracks right after either, but it's expensive. It's all been self-financed by the two owners. So destroying the car is not really on the cards.
Okay, thank you.
All right, that looks to be all of our questions today. Thanks so much again for hopping on with us, and we wish you the best of luck next week here in Daytona.
Thank you.